Have you ever tried to memorize the Quran and found it stressful? Trust me, you're not alone. Many of us have gone through the frustration of memorizing a page only to struggle to recall it later. We try to review what we've learned, but it feels like an uphill battle. But here's the good news. I've discovered a new approach that not only makes memorization more effective, but also more enjoyable. This isn't some new technique I invented. It's about changing your mindset and approach toward memorization, or hifz. This method is deeply rooted in the actions of the Salaf, righteous predecessors, and the Sahaba, companions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. If you follow this technique, insha'Allah, God willing, you'll be able to recite the portions you've memorized with ease, whether in your salah, prayers, while driving, or wherever you are. This is not just about memorization. It's about truly embedding the Quran in your heart. Principle 1. Quality over quantity. The first principle of this technique is to focus on quality rather than quantity. Ask yourself, do you want to merely say that you are a hafidh, someone who has memorized the Quran? Or do you want to be a hafidh in the true sense, a person who has the Quran deeply rooted in their heart? Do you want to claim you've memorized the entire Quran? Or do you want to genuinely retain the ayat, verses, in your heart? Many people memorize a page a day, 2 pages a day, or even more, rushing through the entire Quran. They proudly tell their friends and family that they've memorized it all, but how much of that truly stays in their heart? In many cases, the retention is minimal, so the first decision you need to make is whether you want to have the Quran in your heart or just claim to have memorized it. If you choose the former, then this approach is for you, inshallah. This method emphasizes making your memorization thorough and not worrying about how long it will take to complete the Quran. Remember the words of Allah. But this Quran is a set of clear revelations, preserved in the hearts of those gifted with knowledge, and none denies our revelations except the stubborn wrongdoers. Surah Al-Ankabut 29:49. Our goal is to memorize and retain whatever we memorize, even if it's a little. Principle 2. Repetition is key. The second principle is repetition. To make your memorization thorough, repetition is crucial. The idea is to make the first memorization as solid as possible so that reviewing it becomes easy. I recommend repeating each page at least 40 times from memory. Why 40 times? Because it ensures that the page is imprinted in your heart. When you take the time to do this, insha'Allah, revision becomes easy and recitation becomes smooth. This method isn't about rushing, but about savoring every verse and making it a part of your soul. Consider this. When you rush through memorization, you might get through the Quran quickly, but revising becomes a nightmare. On the other hand, if you memorize slowly but thoroughly, revision is a breeze. Imagine being able to recall any verse you've memorized effortlessly, reciting it with ease in your salah, or even when you're on the go. Principle 3. Understanding and reflection. When you repeat a page 40 times or more, you're going to spend a considerable amount of time with that page. This leads us to the third principle, understanding and reflecting on what you're memorizing. Learning the meanings and tafsir, exegesis, of the verses you're memorizing adds depth to your memorization. You're not just repeating words, you're understanding what Allah is telling you. This transforms memorization from a rote exercise to a meaningful spiritual journey. As you repeat each verse, reflect on its meaning. Think about its context, its implications, and how it applies to your life. This process, known as tadabbur, contemplation, not only helps with retention, but also strengthens your connection with the Quran. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, encouraged us to ponder over the Quran. It's not just about memorizing the words, but also about letting those words transform our hearts and minds. Principle 4. Consistency over intensity. The fourth principle is consistency over intensity. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "The most beloved deeds to Allah are those that are consistent, even if they are small." Sahih Bukhari. Memorizing the Quran is a marathon, not a sprint. It's about daily commitment, not a one-time effort. Dedicate a specific time each day to your memorization, even if it's just 15-20 minutes. This consistency will build discipline and make memorization a part of your daily routine. Avoid burnout by not overwhelming yourself. It's better to memorize half a page thoroughly than to rush through 2 pages. Set realistic goals, be patient with yourself, and remember that every verse you memorize brings you closer to Allah. Principle 5. Utilize different senses. The 5th principle is to engage multiple senses in your memorization. This can enhance retention and make the process more enjoyable. For example, listen to a recitation of the verses you're memorizing by a qari, reciter, whose voice you love. This not only helps you memorize, but also perfects your pronunciation and tajweed, rules of recitation. Write down the verses. Writing engages your visual and motor skills, reinforcing what you're memorizing. It's a powerful tool that can aid memory and provide a visual reference for your mind. Additionally, recite the verses out loud. The more senses you engage, seeing, hearing, speaking, the stronger the memorization becomes. Principle 6. Make dua and trust in Allah. The 6th principle is making dua, supplication, and trusting in Allah. Memorizing the Quran is a noble endeavor, and we should always seek Allah's help in this journey. Before you begin your memorization session, make dua for ease, understanding, and retention. Ask Allah to open your heart and mind to His words, and to make the Quran a guiding light in your life. Trust that Allah will assist you in this journey. Remember that the Quran is a gift from Allah, and He will support those who strive to memorize and live by it. The process of memorization can be challenging, but with Allah's help, nothing is impossible. Keep a positive mindset, stay consistent, and trust that Allah is with you every step of the way. Principle 7. Find a support system. The 7th principle is to find a support system. Memorizing the Quran is a personal journey, but it's always helpful to have companions on the path. Join a Quran memorization class or group. Having a teacher and fellow students can provide guidance, accountability, and encouragement. It's motivating to see others striving alongside you, and it helps to have someone to turn to when you face difficulties. Share your progress with family and friends, who will support and encourage you. Having people who understand your goals and are rooting for you can make a significant difference in your journey. Principle 8. Make it a part of your life. The 8th and final principle is to make the Quran a part of your life. Don't just memorize it, live it. Recite the verses you've memorized in your salah. Reflect on their meanings during quiet moments. Let the Quran guide your actions, decisions, and interactions with others. The more you integrate the Quran into your daily life, the more meaningful and enjoyable your memorization journey will be. Remember that the ultimate goal is not just to memorize, but to internalize and embody the teachings of the Quran. Conclusion. Memorizing the Quran is a beautiful journey, one that brings you closer to Allah and transforms your heart. By focusing on quality over quantity, embracing repetition, understanding and reflecting on the verses, being consistent, engaging multiple senses, making dua, finding a support system, and making the Quran a part of your life, you can make this journey enjoyable and fulfilling. Remember, the Quran is a light, a guide, and a source of peace. As you embark on this journey, trust in Allah, stay patient, and know that every effort you make is rewarded. May Allah make it easy for you and grant you success in memorizing His book. Ameen.